The iData project presents Remote Sensing Activity with Parker and WCBVI students. Chris is standing at the back of a classroom in a blue Yerke sweatshirt with his white cane in his right hand.
So these guys, all three of these teams are taking a array of data, and they're trying to find an efficient way to get a good reading off it with a limited time. So each team has a different method to their madness. We've got a team doing just diagonals, we've got a team going every three, so skipping, and there's a team doing the perimeter. So they're each finding a way to find the most important data in the quickest amount of time.
Three girls are sitting at their desk. Elena, on the left, is sitting and listening. Nelia has a box with holes on the top on her desk and is holding a long, thin probe. And Bianca, on the right, is recording numbers on a piece of paper with a tactile grid.
Can you describe to me what you're doing?
Well, we have this paper clip that we're sticking into some of the holes in the box, and there's a figure beneath, and then we pinch where it comes out and we measure down the ruler on the box.
And try to see what's underneath without actually looking at it.
And then Bianca's recording all the numbers down.
Chris is standing up at the front of the classroom and talking to the iData students. The focus of the conversation is first on Yelena, Nelia, and Bianca. Next, the focus switches onto Veronica, who is dressed in a blue hoodie and blue beanie.
Were there any visual frustrations with this? What was kind of going on there? I know you guys have something here.
Well, it was hard for Elena to actually see the ruler, which made it where she couldn't be the sonar in this activity, and it would have been harder for her to write the numbers as well, so it wasn't really adaptable.
I think the big thing would be making it bigger and the numbers darker, if that makes any sense. Like,
So that if you have vision, you can use it.
yeah, like with the lines on the ruler, you can't necessarily make them much bigger, but if you can make them darker.
And Elena, do you think that would help you?
Well, I read Braille though, so.
So you learn better tactily.
Yes, I learn better tactily.
We see Chris again at the front of the classroom.
You probably couldn't do much, could you, Elena?
No, really, I couldn't. I just had to sit and listen.
Yeah, and that's still good. I mean, you can learn from that, but that's sometimes what blind students have to do. They have to like sit and listen while everyone else does an activity, which is kind of sad because it's not the point.
Kate comes up to join Chris at the front.
So one of the things I want you to keep in mind while you're doing this, we have this first version of the activity, is that this habit of questioning, is this accessible? Who in my group is sitting out? Who's able to participate? Is a habit we want you to get into, and I want you to be able to articulate, use words to express what's working and what's not, because when we get a little deeper into the software design process, you are going to be responsible for providing feedback, and it's going to be a lot of feedback.
Now we see different snippets of students doing an activity with colorful unit blocks. One person probes the mystery box and tells another person a number. That person now puts that number of unit blocks in the correct position on a grid. Some students are blindfolded while doing this.
So this was Veronica's idea, to use these cubes.
Okay, you got one cube. All right, ready?
Drop it, just drop
Here's the one.
You're all doing
A4.
This video references the activity created by Tim Spock, Seeing What You Can't See. In the original activity, there were a lot of holes in the box that one had to probe, and with the box used, there were a lot of holes made that weren't even part of the grid, making it hard to discern for a blind or low vision student. In addition, none of the numbers on the box or ruler were in Braille, and students had to record their data by writing it down on a graph. The structure inside the box was a very odd and curvy figure, and it would be almost impossible for a BVI student to tell if the structure they get when probing is close to the actual one in the box. The shape is more complex than it has to be to illustrate the lessons from this activity. All in all, the original was not accessible to a BVI student, and most of them had to just sit and listen while the sighted students did it. The Read On activity created by April Ball was a great improvement in terms of accessibility. It has a raised grid with dark lettering and braille labels on top for the numbers and letters on the top of the mystery box, and there are clean large holes for the probe. Instead of writing down the heights acquired by the probe on a grid, students actually recreate the structure they detect is inside the box using colorful unit blocks in a grid identical to the one on top of the mystery box. This way, students can check if their model is correct by feeling for any differences between their model and the one in the box when they are finished. In addition, the structure inside the mystery box can be easily changed, as it is just created from basic wooden block shapes, so students can play around with probing different structures. Veronica, Cody, and Logan are at the front of the classroom. Cody is holding the mystery box, and Logan is holding their unit cube creation.
So this group just finished theirs and they want to look inside of the box. But I just want to tell you, before you just look inside of the box, earlier today I was working with a student at our school, Marin, blind from birth. So she did this. So when she went to look inside of the box, how did she look inside of the box? Yes, Logan?
She felt.
She felt inside of the box, right. So before you just look inside of the box and look at it to see if it's the same, how about if we have you put back on your...
The mystery box and unit cube replica is now set on a table, and members of a group are feeling the two to see if they are the same.
So compare.
Alright.
Connor's right here.
Ah!
Logan's right there.
I figured it out.
The model's to your left
They're
about
set,
2 feet.
They're set in the same orientation right there.
There it is.
And then the box is to the left of the model.
How did you determine that they were in the same
I
orientation?
felt the first row,
And then the
first
model
and
is a
second
foot to your left.
rows, and
Oh, okay.
on both the
Or
models. and
that's what you made
they
in the
matched,
boxes.
So.
Kate is in front of the classroom addressing the students sitting at their desks. Behind her are the 3x3 CCD arrays on a whiteboard. Kate is wearing a green coat and holding a unit cube model in her hands.
So you did this activity was about remote sensing with radar in Greenland, and our accessible version, luckily enough, our accessible version had these boxes, and you counted them off in chunks, and instead of having that smooth landform. Our accessible version is a little bit more like our CCD chip activity that we did the other day. Can someone describe to me again, what were we doing with these grids that are on the board here? Go ahead.
Well, I had these little square with like different shapes. And we detected a number of protons and stick them on the board. And CCD stands for charged coupled device.
Yep, and so what you did was you just counted photons and you put them in the grid. And later on, what the computer does when this reads out is it will simply count the number of photons here. It doesn't count partial photons, it just counts 1, 2, 3, 4. And it stacks them up in a grid. If you get enough pixels in a grid, you can start getting a lot of detail. And so this is really representative of just counting up photons. So I just thought that was just kind of cool. So thank you, Veronica, for making something that drew us right back to the CCD chip.
The IDATA project is funded by the National Science Foundation and is a collaboration between the following sponsors: Logos Consulting Group, Turk, Associated Universities Incorporated, the University of Chicago Yerkes Observatory, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. People involved in making this video. Participants, students of Parker High School and WSBVI. Activity design, April Ball. Activity leaders, Chris Matthews, Kate Meredith, Tim Fallberg, and Sheila Van Taker. Video editing and audio description, Katja Gosman.